Oh, should I?
Hello, Jane Claire, and welcome to our little chat today. And girls, this just so you know before we get started, this is the awesome Jane Claire, and she is the speaking coach and also founder of Double Undies. Just got to make sure I've got that right. Double Undies, which give women confidence when working out. And so I'm running out of excuses on reasons not to work out, and I'm not really liking this. Thanks, just letting you know. So anyway, Jane is a obviously a speaking coach, but also just a little brief background, and she'll tell you a little bit more about this. Jane actually shot off and traveled the world from the age of 21. So that's pretty crazy. And then she came to live in New Zealand with her partner at the time, who's now her husband, and she did that 17 years ago. So she's been here for a long time, even though you wouldn't be able to tell because she's got a very thick accent still. I'll let you hear that in a second. And she also joined our New Zealand Fire Service as a career firefighter as well. So that's freaking all such amazing stuff. And I think like we talked just before we came on to this chat, and I said that sounds like really, really brave stuff already. So how do you teach somebody, we're talking about speaking confidence and all that sort of thing. We're going to ask you more after you've introed yourself. How do you become confident when you're already brave? Like, is it like if somebody's already brave, do they need confidence? So we're going to talk about that soon, but let's just let you introduce yourself to the girls as well. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here today with you. I think we've got very similar aspirations and values and what we want for women, which is empowerment. And obviously, I love what you do. So thank you so much for having me, for starters.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So do you want me just to explain a bit about me, I suppose,
Yeah,
and
totally.
why I'm here today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting life in terms of I've always seemed to have done the things that people have said shouldn't be possible or people would call mad. And I think that comes down to maybe my personality of wanting to prove people wrong or living on that edge of living on the adrenaline, but growth and always pushing myself to see what I'm actually capable of. And when you've said about being brave and confident, there's a lot that I've learned along the way because I'm always pushing myself into that uncomfortableness and seeing what I'm capable of. But I think brave and confident are quite different aspects. You could be brave to do a bungee jump and jump off a cliff,
Mm,
but it doesn't mean that you're confident to do it in life. Like brave and confident are two kind of separate things, and I will go into how you become confident because it's not something that you're born with. I actually have quite a few people that think it's a personality trait, it's something that you're born with, you're just that person. Or if you're an extrovert and you're social, that must mean you're confident, and it's actually not the case at all.
mm,
It doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert,
mm,
um, or social or not. Confidence is quite a separate thing, and it's something that you learn and develop
mhm,
through time and practice and actually doing the thing. But there is an element of being brave because there's being uncomfortable when you're doing something that you've never done before, or you're sticking your head out for potential judgment or criticism. So I'll go into about the speaking side of it in a bit, but you have to have the courage and be brave to stand in that uncomfortableness and put yourself out there when you don't know what the results are going to be. So our brain doesn't like the unknown. It likes to have all the answers. And when you're putting yourself in that position, that's where it feels dangerous. And your brain will try and convince you to not do it. That's our comfort. So you do have to be brave in that respect. So I've done many things that people say, well, that's incredible. And for me, it was just, that's what I'm going to do, which is you're traveling and joy. I've always wanted to be a career firefighter, and I did that for 9 years and I loved it. But now my passion is coaching, but they've always been not the norm of what you would do. And so I've learned so many valuable lessons and tips and tricks on how to push through the uncomfortableness and follow your passions and dreams and not let the fears that we all feel, imposter syndrome, fear of using our voice, being judged, actually hold us back. Because when you finally step through, amazing things happen. It's like next level. And the reason why I do this now is I want to empower women to be confident with who they are and using their voice. So telling their story, if they've got a business, it's promoting their business. If they have a job and they want to do a presentation or speak up in front of people, it's having the power to do that. And that's now what I help my clients.
I love that so much. And like, so just to give you a little brief, I guess my story around being brave and the confidence thing is like literally people think all the time, because I do these chats and I do quite a lot of stuff online and all that sort of thing. People think, oh, you're so confident, like you know, you like, they think I'm an extrovert and all that sort of thing, and I really am not. And about the whole, you know, online space, I remember the day that I did my first live stream on 30 plus, and I literally remember it because I'm trauma. I've got a trauma, what do you call it, wound from it. I literally set my camera up in the window and I made myself look all nice, and I knew exactly what I was going to say, and then I pushed live and I saw myself in that video, and then I just went, oh, backspace, how do I turn this off? I was I was so freaked out. I just could not do it at the time. Like, I couldn't do it. Fast forward like 8 years, that just seems so hilarious to me now, but it's so funny because it was so terrifying. And I didn't have a coach. I didn't have anybody to talk me through like being brave or confident or the tips or tricks or any of that. I just had to do it on the job. But the thing is that there's easier ways through, isn't there? And so I think that like this is the space that you're in, and you said about storytelling. Not everybody is going to be a public speaker. Not everybody is going to go and be a newsreader. Not everybody is going to do this even. But everybody has a story, and I think everybody deserves some kind of space, or at least the confidence to tell their story, even if it's just to another person, but bringing the brave out of them, or bringing the confidence out of them to tell their story. So tell us, what does that look like?
Oh wow. How long have we got now? Yeah, it's not a big process, but there is so much that I can offer in that space. But you are right in terms of telling your story, and the way to kind of look at it is people want to feel connections with others. We're human race. We want to connect and we want to resonate. And people telling their story is an opportunity for people to connect and resonate with that person. And if someone has a story and they've come through the other side of it, there are people still within, you know, what they might have been through that need to hear that someone's been through it. And that's what helps people on their journeys, getting through trauma, you know. So it's kind of a really important and a beautiful thing to be able to do for people to tell their stories, and people want to hear it.
Mm.
But I would say that the reason why a lot of people get stuck on that is, especially when you're telling your story, you are being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You are putting yourself out to the world in whichever format that you do it, and you are showing yourself fully of who you are, and you're telling your story. So it's that you'll have all of those fears that creep up, like what if people judge me? What if people are going to, you know, say about me afterwards, or who's going to see it? There's all these normal fears that come up, and the first thing I could say is it's completely normal to have these fears. Like you were saying, Talia, the first time that you did your live video, it's normal to be like that. I did that with my first video as well on my reel. Like, we all start in that kind of space because it's daunting and scary, and we don't know how it's going to go. Are we going to mess up? Are we going to be able to get our words out? So understanding that those feelings are natural and normal, and it's okay. But remembering, a big tip would be remembering why do you want to be doing this? Like, by telling your story, you may inspire other people, you may help other people going through what they're going through. There's a reason why you'd want to tell your story, and it's remembering that when you're doing it, that you're doing it to benefit others. Now, there's that fear of judgment, which a lot of people fear. So it's kind of understanding where these fears come from and how to overcome it. And I don't want to boggle you with too much here. I do have a free webinar, which I'll be going through some things, which I'll tell you in a bit, which has a bit more in depth. But a lot of the time it's the fear of judgment because you're putting yourself into vulnerability. And through all of my journey, I'll be completely honest, I don't mind telling people when I struggle. And it's the same with you, like being honest and telling people that you're not an extrovert and, you know, you're not always confident is, I think, the best way to be. And people can then realize that it's normal and it's okay. But I feared judgment for all of my life up until about a year ago, when it probably happened overnight, to be honest, because I was always a people pleaser. I was worried that, oh, I have to have people like me, and if they don't like me, something's wrong with me. And that, when you have that fear and you're trying to tell your story and open up being vulnerable, if you want to be a people pleaser or worried about people not liking you, it's going to prevent you from doing it. You're going to not want to do it. And literally overnight, what happened was, I'll try and keep the story short. A best friend of mine, our daughters got into an altercation, and we ended up falling out. She basically dragged my character through the mud, which was untrue and unfair. And we kind of broke that friendship. And at that point, I had to do some deep internal work, and it's realizing who you are deep inside. So we have our brain that can be nasty and it can tell us nasty stuff. You're not good enough, you know, you're fat, you're ugly, whatever. But if you really, really get in tune with your gut deep down, you know who you are. You know you're a good person. You know you're doing the best that you can. You know people like you. And when you tune into that, I realized that it doesn't matter if people don't like me, because I know who I am.
Wow.
I think that's key to releasing some of that judgment and that fear of people not liking you, because once you are fully happy and content with who you are, there are going to be people that judge no matter what. So let them judge the full version of you, but we tend to concentrate on the negative, right? The negative comments come in. You might get 2 negative comments and we hone in on that, but we've got hundreds of amazing, beautiful comments. But for some reason, our brains go, oh, negative. So you're going to get people that potentially judge. But again, if you do the work and you go deep down, I know I'm good. They can hate if they want, but the people that like me are going to be my tribe. I'm going to vibe with people that get on with me. Like, I don't necessarily like everyone.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that was a big twig. Yeah, that's right. It was a big twig. Like, we want everyone to like us, but I don't like everyone. So it doesn't go both ways. So yeah, I think it's kind of releasing, being sure of who you are and being comfortable. Having support is a big thing. When you're going, if you're going to tell your story, you do have to have the courage to be brave. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but if you have the support behind you, there are lots of the tools that you can do to make sure that when you deliver your story, you become more confident because you've practiced, you've done the work, you've visualized it. There are some gold gems there to help you through that.
That's the stuff that you're going to be talking about on your webinar, is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's
So yeah.
So I was thinking, like,
Do you want me to briefly mention that? Or?
Yeah, I'll come back to it, but I was just thinking the self-worth piece, just before I lose that out of my brain, that we've talked about that, and how important that is in all aspects of your life, like, you know, you're a speaking coach, I'm not a speaking coach, I'm completely something else, but everything does come down. I don't even know what I am, but everything, I don't have that
amazing, fabulous.
But yeah, so it all comes down, everything comes down to self-worth and how you feel about yourself, every aspect of life. So coming back to the webinar, will you be delving into a little bit of that as well?
Not so much the self, it looks at self-doubt, which is the imposter syndrome. But in terms of that deep work, that is something that was probably always going to be there, and they're always going to develop, right? I'm still always working on it. It's something that I think, you know, if you look at little toddlers, they're full of life, right? They don't care. They are just their natural selves. They are stupid. They don't care what anyone else thinks or says. They're amazing. That's why they're so beautiful to watch. And then over time, we are told to act a certain way. Don't be too loud. You're too, you know, we are dimmed down, our light is dimmed, and we kind of wear masks to fit into society, or we've had trauma, or we've been told in the past by someone or made to feel that we're not worthy or good enough for a certain reason. And that's what we kind of hold on to. So there is some work that can be done through coaching. That's something that I work with my clients, but coaching that can help break through that. But you kind of want to go on a bit of self-discovery, but there is ways that you can try to switch that off, which is what I go through in my webinar, because it's learning how to do those things in spite of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Am I good enough?
It's
Can
back
I
to the brave
do
thing again. It's back to the brave thing. So
it's,
you and I went for a night swim, and I've been doing that quite a lot over summer, just going for some morning and night swims, but videoed it, And I was talking to my daughter about that today because she wanted to know who I was chatting with today, and I said, I remember she was one where both our butts were in the picture, and she's got a CrossFit butt and I've got my butt. And like I said, but what I loved about that so much is the fact that I was just giving permission for people to feel completely free and brave, just to be your complete and utter self, because somebody else doesn't like their whatever they look like or whatever they act like or however successful they are or whatever. It doesn't minimize how you are or how successful you are or how beautiful you are. It doesn't minimize you by them being different to you. You know what I mean? So I just felt like, that's a bit of the brave thing as well. It's like just being brave to be yourself, because actually you're so unique. You're absolutely authentic, and everybody is beautiful. Everybody in their different ways are beautiful, and everybody's stories are important, and absolutely everybody's stories are important, but it's just about how do you feel, like you said, be brave enough to get that story out there. So tell us more specifically what in your webinar, what kind of points and things will you be talking the girls through? Because I really believe that what you've got is going to unlock or break some chains off some voices, because I think this is really more powerful than just, I know that this is a business thing for you, but I think it's more powerful than that. I feel like it is about releasing voices, and man, there are so many stories. So talk us through a little bit more in detail what you've got on that webinar.
Yeah, so the webinar is kind of my core. I've come up with three core pillars that I feel will help you speak with confidence. So there's three core parts to it, and then obviously there's other things that roll on from there. But the three core parts is imposter syndrome. So for those that don't know what imposter syndrome is, when you are, again, doing something that you might never have done before. So for example, I put my hand up to do a talk with Empower Her at the start of last year, had never done a talk before. And imposter syndrome makes you that don't think that you're qualified to be doing it, that people are going to see through you. You're an imposter. You're not the expert. Someone else is going to know more than you. Who do you think you are? So it's a real thing, and it can prevent you from doing it. I nearly pulled out, not once, but twice from that talk.
Wow.
And I had a legitimate reason where I'd lost my voice for a week.
Yeah.
And I could have used that. I really could have used it, but I knew it was literally my imposter syndrome, my fear holding me back. But it's understanding why imposter syndrome is there, what it actually does or means, and how you overcome it. So understanding that your brain is trying to keep you safe. So when you're putting yourself into that new position, that uncomfortableness, it thinks it's danger. And it's going to try and bring you back. So it's going to tell you all these things, but they are not true at all. So it's understanding how, why, and then what you can do to overcome it. So it's releasing that fear of judgment. And I do go into judgment, perfect. The next part, one of them is practice makes, and it's not perfect because that also ruins confidence and speaking up. So it's practice makes confident, because like you've said, Talia, at the start, when you went to do that first video, you had the right lighting, you looked right, all this kind of stuff. You were trying to make it perfect. And then obviously you cancelled it. Yeah, no, but I know a lot of clients have spoken to me about that as well. And there's some tips that I can do that you turn it around so you don't see yourself. But we'll cover it up. But yeah, it's practice to build that confidence. And the more you do it, like say 8 years later, it's not even a thing now. Like the more you do it, that's where you build the confidence. But it's not being perfect. So you know, we, especially when we do something new with the imposter syndrome, we think it has to be perfect. I want it to be perfect. And that then stops you from doing it as well. So just go for it. It's probably not going to be good the first time, maybe even the second time. Does it matter? Yeah, yeah. And then that leads into the judgment, like it doesn't matter, just do it and it will get better each time.
Yeah, that's right. Even today, I posted up a video. I thought, the girls have been asking me about skincare stuff, and finally just going to get around to actually telling them some stuff because I'm so tragic at it these days. And then I put the video up, and I was like, ugh, like the lighting was all ick, and I was like, ugh, and I felt like I should take that down. Then I thought, what? Like, what the heck? Like, that's my face. Who cares? Like, literally, that is my life motto now. It is, who cares? Who cares what somebody says? Who cares if they say, oh, you do look 48? Who cares? Who cares? Like, who cares? Literally, that's my motto. Um, but, I love, I think this is such a powerful platform, like, thing for you to be training people in, because there will be people who don't feel like who cares. There'll be people who care immensely about about being perfect. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to be perfect, you really don't achieve much. And like you said, you almost didn't go to that Empower You event. And do you know what? If you hadn't have, we wouldn't be here doing this chat right now. And that means that potentially all these women who could be doing this webinar to learn how to speak their truth wouldn't have an opportunity to do that. So how powerful is that, just in hindsight?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same every time with, if anything I'm doing, there's still that nerves and those thoughts try to creep in. So it's not like it always diminishes. Like with you today, it's like you could have taken it down, you thought about it, but you didn't. So it's kind of and that's a perfect example of it as well. So I think with imposter syndrome or really wanting it to be perfect, it's just because we care so much, right? We care about ourselves, we care about what we're talking about, and we want it to be perfect. So, and I was always an advocate for perfection, but I've realized that you have to let that go a bit. No, we are our harshest critics, right? So we are literally our harshest critics. So what we see or think, others generally don't. And what you'll probably find is when you make a post or you do a story or something, you generally get great comments. So that's also one thing I want to say is we are harshest critics, and we can think the worst sometimes, but the amount of times that you get amazing feedback, people come to you going, that was amazing, blah, blah, blah. Just remember that we are harshest critic. And
I think as well though, like the more you do it, like you said, practice not necessarily makes perfect, but it makes confident. Like I have I've lost track of how much abuse I've had online over the years while creating an ethos where you can't be abusive or bullying in a community, and had to grow thick skin. So I'm not saying anybody's going to get like abused for their story, but there is an element of you do get braver. You actually do. You get braver as you do more. So it's like sometimes, the first time somebody says something horrible to you, it's like, but like it really, really, really hurts, and you might sit there and ruminate on it for hours or days or weeks. But at the end of the day, like if you just get back up again and do the thing again, it affects you less and less. When I first opened 30 Plus, actually, there was a marketing lady here on the coast who was very well known, and she had a very big, like quite a well-known marketing company, and she took it upon herself to private message me to tell me she thought what I was doing was absolutely disgusting, and what do I think I'm doing, kind of thing. And I remember sitting on the end of my bed. I was a single mum, 4 kids, 2 little back-to-back babies, had already been through all of the abuse you can imagine in life, husband, narcissist and all that, feeling like an absolute dog already, like actually worthless, starting this whole community because I wanted women to have a space where they didn't feel like I did. And I remember just sitting on the end of my bed and just sitting there. I sat there for probably like 3 hours just doing this little rock, thinking about all the things, thinking about maybe she's right, maybe, like thinking all the things, right? Anyway, I just thought, you know what, I'm already at the bottom of the barrel. I'm already in the pit. I have nowhere else to go. If I don't do this, I don't have any further down to go. All I can do is go up or go nowhere. So I just thought, oh well, I'm just going to do it. It hurt, really hurt. And then like several years later, when the group was like doing what it's doing now, I actually went back to her message and I responded to it, and I just said, I just wanted to let you know how that made me feel. and that I almost didn't do this, and now I want to tell you what has become of this since then, and like how many lives have been changed and affected, and I just said to her, I don't think that was a very nice thing that you said and you did. And so anyway, what I'm saying is that was an extreme case of somebody being really horrible when I did something brave and confident for the first time. But if you can get past those things, you just don't know what is at the other side of what your voice what your voice is going to deliver to people. You don't know, you've just got to keep going, eh?
That's absolutely inspirational. I think it's devastating that happened, especially when you're so early on in your journey on that.
Yeah.
And again, like you say, if you'd listened to that negativity of that person who's judging they don't know you, they don't know what your vision is, like they take it off surface. But if you'd listened to that and stopped yourself from doing it, like again, we wouldn't be here and you wouldn't have helped so many people with your community. So I think that is an inspirational story in itself, and I think it comes down to, if that ever happened, and hopefully it doesn't for people, but it's really making sure you've got, if you can, the support. But you must have had to dig deep into, this is what you wanted to do, this feels right for you, this is your journey and your path, and this is something that you want to do and need to do. And if you can just tune into, that's the why again, if you can tune into that,
Yeah.
that's going to help carry you forward.
I think the thing is, I was more desperate for other women not to go through the hell I went through. So it didn't even feel like it was for me. And I actually think that's a really valid point. I think that most people with their stories, and even with their businesses, it's not for them. It usually always is for somebody else's benefit that they're telling their story or that they're creating. Even a business is always for somebody else's benefit. So, I think the thing is, if you, like you were saying, like if you take if you're not like concentrating on it being all about you, but it's actually about what you're delivering and like who you're going to be helping with your story and your voice, it takes the pressure off yourself in a way, just knowing that I'm just delivering the message, but it's not for my personal gain, sort of thing. I don't know that if that makes anybody feel better. I think that's a good way to think of it.
Oh, you're totally right. And exactly. So it's kind of, I always get my clients to actually write down their why and have it in places that they can see it to remind them. But I have also had people where you're exactly right. It's remembering when you are delivering whatever it is you're doing, even if it's a social media post or something, that it's for the benefit of them. Like,
Yes.
and it takes that pressure off of you of what you're doing. It's like, if just one person, so when I do my next talk, if just one, or my webinar, if just one person gets one gem from this,
Mm.
that's amazing. Like, it doesn't matter if 100 people are there, if one person gets something, and it kind of just releases that pressure, but you're doing it for that reason, that why.
You
So
don't
yeah, you're
always
exactly
find out about it at the time that you've spoken. Like, people, like, especially in the online space now, people aren't usually as free and open just to comment or say things because they don't want other people to see that they've commented. So they might actually just be taking it all in. It may affect them in ways that you don't know at the moment or may never know, but you still are helping somebody if you've got a powerful story to share. And I think I've also had the experience of people coming back to me years later and saying, whatever it was that I posted and that caused this effect, and then they got out of this situation, now their life is like this. And and I never ever would have known. I never would have known from one post. And I think that's how powerful it is if you can find your voice and tell your story. So yeah, I think what you've got, like this webinar that's up and coming, I think it is going to be a really, really powerful tool for so many people. So I know that you will have ongoing webinars after this one. I know that it's not just going to stop here, but we have got one set of dates that we know of right now, and we will link that webinar into this post here. But tell us a bit more.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's on Wednesday, the 23rd of January at 12 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. It's probably going to last about an hour where I'll go through it. So it's all online. It's completely free. One of the other pillars, which I didn't mention, which is a really fun and powerful tool, I don't know if you're aware of it, is visualization. So it's a great way, which I've done every time. So when I, for example, applied to become a career firefighter, we had to do a fitness test, and you have to be as strong as the guys. Like, it's pretty pretty big deal.
Wow.
And I would visualize me going through this step every time, all of the time, and succeeding and finishing it. And then when I go do a talk or even my networking event, which I'm hosting, every time I'm visualizing every day how that's going to run and what I'm wearing, how many people are there. Like there's
Wow.
what happens is your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not.
Wow.
So the more you visualize, the more you believe it to be real, and your body
Mm.
um, already gets this confidence that you've already done it and you can believe it. So the third pillar is going through visualization, which is a really fun one and a powerful tool. So that is also going to help with confidence. So it should be, yeah, there should be a lot of information in the webinar. I want it to be transformational. I've got so much to give. I am going to try and cram as much as I can in that hour. But then, yeah, there'll be obviously ways that you can work with me if it's something that you still want help with. I'm going to have a course which will have modules that you'll work through for that deeper work, and then help with speaking with confidence even further. But webinars will be something that I will continue to do.
Mm.
Yeah, and again, even if I can just impact one person to have a bit more confidence and strength to speak their truth and their voice, my job is done. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
23rd of Jan.
Yeah, awesome. 23rd. Okay, so I think like for me, I think that this is for everybody. I think this is genderless. This is men and women. This could be for anybody. And but who specifically are you wanting to talk to at the moment or for this webinar?
Yeah, I suppose most of the people that come forward and most of my clients have been women, and I think being a woman myself and understanding us a little bit more. I know men also struggle in the field of confidence and they also do need support, but I have a really weird way of connecting to women. I can tell you what someone's thinking and feeling without them even speaking to me. Like I feel already weirdly connected to them. So I do prefer to work with with women. Women seem to gravitate to me more than men. If there are men that want help, I've spoken to you that before, Talia, that I want to help everyone. But yeah, my focus really yeah, my focus really is women and helping them with their confidence, because I have lived in a shell for most of my life and I've come through it, and I understand how they feel. So that's why. Yeah.
That's so good. I love it so much. Okay, I think I can tell we would have so much more to talk about, but for the sake of time,
Yeah, sure.
I'll link people to your webinar up and coming. And I really I think everybody should do this. I really think everybody should do this. I think it's for everybody. I think everyone has a story. If you don't know how to confidently speak, even not even in public, but just even to your family, your friends, if you don't know how to use your voice and you've got something to talk about, I think this would even be good for relationships, because some people have messy relationships because they don't know how to communicate. And I think sometimes that's just about being brave and finding your voice there too. So I think it could be good for so many different elements. But before we go, I just wanted to also throw in, because when I introduced you, I said Jane Claire, the speaking coach and founder of Double Undies, to give women confidence working out. So tell us just briefly about that, because that's a little passion project of yours as well, eh?
Yeah, it is. I think it like all stems back to this confidence, right? And helping give women confidence. So I've been in fitness and like in CrossFit for probably 8 years, and I've got 2 children. And what I realized was 50% of women who work out and 1 in 3 women experience incontinence in their life. So where 50% of women that work out experience incontinence. So generally when we've had children or with age or perimenopause, when we're exercising, so that might be skipping, box jumping, weightlifting even, we experience leakage. And it was about 3 years ago when I first experienced it, and I was a bit shocked, to be honest. I was like, oh, what just happened? And then I spoke to my friends about it, and what I realized, so, yeah. And then what I realized was the more women I spoke to, how common it was. Like everyone at the gym, we speak about it openly now, because I think once one person speaks about it, it becomes, oh, that was me. Oh yeah, I do that too. And it becomes a normal thing. I think to start with, people don't want to first admit it, but everyone I've spoken to has this worry or concern. So I've created a thong specifically re-engineered and designed to give women confidence back when they're working out. So if women have leakage troubles, like sometimes when you've had a kid and you're on the trampoline or you sneeze, our pelvic floors don't quite hold us together. So if you want more confidence, a lot of people that I know either avoid certain movements, they have to break them up, or they're just embarrassed. And the last thing that I want for women is to be trying to make themselves better health wise, fitness wise, doing all of this work and getting to the gym and then stopping on being embarrassed because they've had a leak. So this thong protects them 100%. There is no leakage. No one will ever know. So you can actually work out to the full extent, push yourself, and be confident that, yeah, no one's going to know if you do have a problem. So Double Undies. Hopefully we should get all the products in April. But yeah, so excited. And yeah, so that's
Okay,
my,
well, once I have a
little
link for
side
that,
hustle.
yeah, amazing. Once I have a link for that, I'll put that up as well. But I am vastly running out of excuses to not exercise, like I said, and I'm not. I don't know if I'm happy about this or not.
I'll have to get you out.
That's funny. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming along for a chat today. And yeah, I really appreciate your time. And I think this is a really, really powerful, I wouldn't even call it a project. It's really your passion, eh? I think it's a really important passion, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes for you. And I will be at your webinar, so it's a match. So thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love it, and yeah, I think hearing your stories as well. There's so much to tell, and I just appreciate the time and for having me on. And hopefully your listeners, hopefully they get something from it. But yeah, I'd love to see you there, and yeah, appreciate it.
All right, over and out.
Thank you.